So after watching this movie, for better or worse, 1974 still feels a lot like today. A Very Natural Thing, directed by Christopher Larkin, has a simple story about a man who meets another man, and they move in together, and that's when the conflict begins. I've discovered this film on a streaming site, and the poster is what caught my eye, and it's a really well-made poster. There are different variants of the poster which have different taglines, and there's one tagline that's kind of weird. It's something about, if you cut us, we'll bleed, or something like that. That's kind of weird. I thought that was bizarre. But then there's another one that says something along the lines of like, it's like a heterosexual love story, but different. And that sums up kind of the idea behind this movie, to kind of show the people at the time that, gay people are just like everybody else. The themes and ideas that the film deals with are still a lot of the same things that people still talk about today. And something at the core of this film has to do with monogamy and people who don't want monogamy, and those conversations are still had today from in society and in all sorts of different ways. Like I said, it's a very simple story. It's just about two men that just start, trying to see if they're compatible, and one really wants that romance, just one person. The other person kind of wants to not be so exclusive. And that's where the conflict ensues. And it's this incompatibility. Like back then, there were no dating sites, so the pool was even smaller. So when you found anybody who even was homosexual, you were more inclined to stay with them, despite having, red flags that you probably saw way before they happened. Now, when I read the description before I saw the movie, apparently this was one of the first widely distributed gay films, like commercially available gay films. I saw the director is quoted in the Vito Russo book, The Celluloid Closet, which is about the cinematic history of gays in movies, and he goes on to say that the intentions were just to show gay people as people, and that was the point of it. And now, taking place just before what would later happen in the 80s, that horrible thing that we all know happened in the 80s to the gay community, this felt like it was a major step forward in showing the public that gay people could just be people. Even though they had an avalanche of things still to tackle, they were getting closer, it felt like. And a lot of historians have said that because of what happened in the 80s, it kind of set back the gay rights movement much further. The film also is somewhat of a hybrid, because they break the fourth wall, because there's some documentary aspects where they're interviewing people at like a gay pride event, I believe in New York City, and it's just asking them questions about the gay community or gay activists. And there's two moments in the film that it breaks the fourth wall. Other things that it deals with that are still relevant today. I mean, the main character is a teacher, and there's moments where he's talking to somebody else about whether or not he should be open about his sexuality. Of course, back then there was much more danger in coming out as being gay in the workplace. You could be fired, but it's still a conversation that people are having today. Like he says, like, if I came out as gay, do I have to tell my students? And that's still an ongoing debate that's raging on. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I felt like, yep, we're still dealing with that. Yeah, we're still dealing with these topics. It's still really relevant, which is kind of depressing, because this movie is almost 50 years old, and you would think that we would be way beyond where this movie is. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we've really matured beyond too much of... I mean, it's better now, definitely, than it was back then, but these things are still going on. Like I said, there's so many relevant things. There's also this idea of marriage and whether or not gay people should be getting married and imitating, straight people. And, that's a conversation I have my own opinions about. I feel like you can have that conversation, but you should always give the option for gay people to be able to get married. People saying like, why are gay people trying to emulate the heterosexual people? And it's like, there are good reasons for that. It's not just about, trying to be like the heterosexuals. It's about wanting to be equal and having the same level of protections and blah, blah, blah. And there are gay sex scenes in this film, and I'm sure that could be very jarring to a mainstream heterosexual audience at the time. But of course, they're tasteful. They're not just gratuitous for gratuitous sake. Just the same level of intimacy you would see in a regular movie. And I really found this interesting, that a major theme in this movie is not like coming out. There are, like I said, there are debates and conversations about that, whether or not it's a good idea to come out, especially, like I said, in the workplace. The film is not like situated where it's just about this guy coming to terms with it. He's on the move. He's already looking for people. He's already trying to live his life the best he can. And I thought that was really progressive, especially for the time in which it came out, that it's not dealing with a coming out story. And if this is in fact one of the first widely distributed gay movies, kudos to it, just trying to parallel the heterosexual life. I also want to say, if any movie deserves a good restoration, it would be this movie. The stream in which I saw it on was pretty rough, and this could really benefit from a Criterion level of cleanup on the negative, and just to preserve it for the historical value that it has. This film, while it was breaking new ground for being what it was at the time, the film itself is not really a groundbreaking piece of cinema, because it's just trying to be a simple love story, a story of falling in love, falling out of love. Having said that, it's still a very easy, enjoyable thing to watch. Not overly dramatic. Again, you don't have that horrible event that was going to come in the 80s. They don't have to deal with that because it's not taking place then. So you still have this hopeful optimism. And I think that really aligns with the last sequence in the film. And the last sequence in the film is beautiful and hypnotic, but it's very haunting, because we know what's going to come. It feels as if these two people are just in this heavenly oasis, and they're on a beach and they're naked, and it's just slow motion, but there's really a haunting undercurrent to it all, I felt like, because things are just so happy and things are just so beautiful, but we all know what was coming, what was coming for the gay community after that, and they're happy in this moment. And I don't know, I think that this is a very important piece of gay cinema, and ultimately, hopefully 50 years from now, we'll be a little further along in this discussion that these people were having in 1974.